the struggle with Sheila Chandra's third solo album after leaving Monsoon, and it was released on Indie Pop Records in 1985. And we had got into a good groove after the experience of writing, performing, producing, mixing, mastering out on my own and quiet. And in 1984, we were really enjoying the freedom of having our own studio set up. Sheila was in charge, and tight planning was required. Towards the end of the creative process, we'd be preparing artwork and pressing facilities, going to the 6 or 7 exporters who were using to sell the albums abroad for us. We set a minimum of 5,000 albums and a 2-week promotion window. And it was just a way of keeping in the creative mode, not getting too distracted, in a way that, you know, you could sign to major labels and get caught in that dinosaur decision-making process, as we called it. A lot of the promotion that we did was press 100 extra albums for BBC Asian local radio, the alternative rock programs that were starting to incorporate, or willing to incorporate, world music, or certainly our version of world music. And when our mixing engineer, who was an American living in England for a while, called Alan Barson, he heard that the exporters were selling lots in the USA. He suggested we could develop that by looking at college and public radio stations and sending them some promotion albums like KCRW and KUSF in California. And this was new to us. We knew that the albums were being bought out there, but we didn't know if they were being promoted like that. And so anyway, he gave us a list, and it would mean that it expanded our promotion base, as well as the BBC World Service. We had some other rock programs out there who were open-minded, and actually I think it was helpful to us in the end. I mean, we weren't releasing singles. We found them a bit of a distraction at that point. But I think it also gave extra credibility because, you know, the game in the UK is you release 2 or 3 singles and then you can release the album based on the interest that they maintained. Or, you know, you built it up through whatever downloads, but you have to kind of nearly earn it if you're going into the multinationals. Whereas the college radio and a lot of the DJs and the journalists saw that we weren't releasing singles, and they liked it. It was a kind of a stamp of approval, and it's a kind of badge of honour, you could say. But our schedule for this 4-album phase didn't give us time for the game anyway, and so it suited everyone. And we were getting new fans all the time. I mean, once you're continually releasing albums, their antennae are up. They're waiting, I suppose. When I'm saying we, that includes obviously Sheila and myself, but Martin Smith, who was the 3rd member of the team, he was invaluable. Really, the first 4 solo albums, he did so much, but rarely gets a mention or a credit. For instance, he was doing all the backroom things, like when we got the studio, he became the sound engineer. We needed photos taking. He became he was already a photographer, but became more of an expert. And we set up a temporary studio with each album to take the photo promotion shots, as well as co-writing and playing. He was a multi-instrumentalist. So he even learned to play sitar and was, really like Sheila and I, very open and ready for a challenge. And so a big thank you to Martin. He was very, very important. And an interesting coincidence was that when we started Monsoon, I'd invited Martin in, and it turns out that for the last couple of years he'd been depping in a Middle Eastern club in the centre of London, and so they'd be playing their kind of standards, but the house band, he was just fascinated by all the scales and some of the instruments, Of course he would be. But it's this coincidence that then we're asking him to go back into that world, and he was already familiar with that, so that's one of the other nice coincidences. The struggles, the most identifiably 80s sounding of Sheila's albums. It's got the Lindrums, the ubiquitous Lindrums, like a lot of the 80s tracks did, way up in the mix. The audience, as I said before, was growing, and Dan Hochman, I think he's only just left the Los Angeles Times, but at the time in 1985, he was the lead music critic, and he put the struggle in his end-of-year top 10 albums, which we were flabbergasted about, of course. But there was a mood of try anything, and there was no one to stop us. We had all the control. We were in this musically exciting playroom of possibilities, new sounds to experiment with, new fusions in the writing style, and Sheila discovering new influences and expanding her techniques all the time. And the audience feedback we were getting from the media and the fans were just keep on keeping on. We're with you. They were our audience, and the exporters were our promoters in effect. Yeah, one more story with the struggle. There's a track on the struggle called Strange Minaret, and at the time, the Brighton Pavilion, which is a royal palace in the style of an Indian palace on the seafront of Brighton, and it was being renovated, so there's scaffolding all over it. And a friend who's a cameraman said he'd come and record us for a video. And so we found this, unfortunately, really windy day, and we got permission, but I'm not sure they were very clear about exactly what we were going to do. But we were up there and had some great shots. And this is another story of somewhere those tapes exist, and we've lost them. We have no idea where they are. And it would be quite nice. So if there's anyone out there who's found Sheila Chandra, Brighton Palace video footage, just write to us. Give us an email. Okay, thank you.